Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Chicago Philippine Reports TV, still the #1 Filipino show in the Midwest. It's good to be back. I'm Girly Pascual. Today we have all the top stories from the Philippines, and they are going to be narrated by Miss Bridget Carino Quetter, our new newscaster. We have our segment hosts, Melody Robordizon with Health Matters. We also have Veronica and her famous interviews. And once a month, we have with us Pastor Edward Cortez. Thank you for watching the show and welcome. And we'd like to feature our birthday celebrants later on after this word from our sponsors.
Get ready for the ultimate in fresh produce, barbecue, seafood, sushi, and more. Meals made easy. Kimchi with wow. Our dishes make you a star. H-Mart.
Meron kaming sinasuggest din para tuloy-tuloy yung pagserbisyo and while helping ho yung sa DOE, yung sinasabi po ng NEDA rin, yung sa energy, sa fuel consumption. So, pwede rin hong 4 days sa trabaho, 8 hours. And then yung 1 day nyo ay work from home. Kung pasok ho yung inyong trabaho sa listahan na pwedeng i-work from home.
A booster jab could soon be a requirement before being considered fully vaccinated, as the Philippine government looks to encourage more people to get a third dose. Vivian Gulia reports.
The government is studying the possibility of requiring a booster shot to be considered fully vaccinated against COVID-19 amid the slow uptake of the recommended additional dose. Only around 12 million out of 45 million eligible fully vaccinated individuals in the country have so far received a booster dose. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 says the proposal has been referred to the Vaccine Expert Panel to determine whether science supports it. VEP Chairperson Dr. Nina Gloriani and member Dr. Ronjin Solante support revising the definition of fully vaccinated to those who received the primary COVID vaccine series and a booster shot. Solante explains the existing primary vaccine series is not enough protection against COVID variants of concern, and a booster shot has been proven to add protection against severe disease. Asked whether setting an expiry on the validity of COVID vaccination cards for the primary series will help ramp up booster jabbing in the country, Cabotaje has this response.
That's also a good strategy. Pero siguro kailangan natin ng enforcement, yung ating mga nag-expect. Kasi basta pinakita mo vaccine card, hindi naman tinitingnan kung sa'yo, hindi naman tinitingnan kung how late your vaccination was. No? So we might go into this more detailed enforcement. Hindi naman kailangan lahat titingnan, kahit mag-random ka lang.
The NVOC meanwhile expects the guidelines and the emergency use authorizations to be ready for the rollout of the second COVID booster shot to vulnerable groups in the country within the second half of April. The United States recently joined other countries that authorized the administration of a second COVID booster shot to selected population. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend it for immunocompromised individuals and people at least 50 years old who received their initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Among the recipients of an extra booster, 79-year-old U.S. President Joe Biden.
The late Philippine dictator's son and namesake, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., denies he's running for president to avoid paying his family's 203 billion peso estate tax debt.
Kaya nyo lang po gusto mo po just to avoid paying estate taxes. What can you say about that, sir?
Not very much.
The presidential bet's sister, Senator Amy Marcos, also insists their family is open to paying to any debts they may owe to the government. But she claims the Presidential Commission on Good Government and the Bureau of Internal Revenue have yet to answer some of her queries regarding their properties. The Supreme Court in 1997 ruled with finality that the Marcos family owed 23 billion pesos in estate tax. That liability has since ballooned due to penalties and interests.
Yung iba na ina-assess, na itinatax, yung iba binigay na sa tinatawag na cronies. Hindi pala amin. In the first place, itong mga properties na to na ibalik na sa iba't ibang mga may-ari. Tapos yung iba naman, sinequester, binenta na rin ng PCGG, binenta na rin ng BIR. So nagtatanong kami, magkano ba talaga yung nabenta? Siyempre, that will go against the tax payment.
The senator also claims her brother and mother, Imelda, have yet to receive a copy of the BIR's letter demanding payment for the estate tax.
Sumagot naman yung abogado yata ng Bongbong, sumagot rin yung abogado ng nanay ko kasi sila yung co-executors ng estate. At tinatanong, nasan yung sulat? Nakailang beses na rin kami na nakikisuyo sa kanila, naupuan na natin at sumahin ng total.
The lawmaker also questions the timing of the revival of the issue.
Kami, hinaharap namin lahat ng kaso namin at sana wag naman mahalo sa politika kasi mga bulok na taktika to bulok na politika. Bakit inuungkat ngayon matapos ang halos sa 4 na dekada?
But the party of presidential bet, Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso, accuses the senator of using even more dirty tactics over the past few years. Acción Democrático Chairman Ernest Ramel says the most rotten of all are her lies and refusal to take responsibility. Ramel urges the Marcoses to avail of the government's estate tax amnesty program and immediately pay the 23 billion peso estate tax. He cited a law signed by President Duterte last year extending the availment period of the estate tax amnesty until June 2023.
Meron na po kayong amnesty. Bayad na po. Sige na po. Mapapakinabangan to ng mas maraming Pilipino sa panahon ngayon.
It was Acción Democrático who first flagged the Marcoses' failure to settle their estate tax dues ahead of the 2022 elections.
This is the future. Forget what you know about currency, commerce, investment. The age of Bitcoin is upon us. And now anyone, anywhere can turn cash into crypto with a coin flip ATM. Booyah.
With low fees and 24/7 support, CoinFlip makes crypto so flippin' easy. Go to coinflip.tech to find an ATM near you.
Via Times, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. Via Times for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. Via Times has very interesting columnists. You name it, Via Times has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call Via Times at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, I have a very interesting young lawyer, and she is here with us today to talk about her candidacy as judge in the position of judge in this upcoming primary election in June. Right, Eileen? Welcome to our show, Miss Eileen Bandari, attorney at law. And Eileen is a very active American of Filipino American descent and of Indian American descent. That's why she's so beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. I am running for judge in June 28, 22 is a primary. But, you said that I'm Indian and Filipino, which is right. My mom was from the Philippines. And she was a mayor back in her hometown of San Benito in Surigao. And my dad is from India. And, I have been around the Asian American community, the Filipino and Indian community. They've been bringing us around the Rizal Center and all of those great events that we went to as kids to showcase our culture and our heritage for us to appreciate. As you know, my parents came here in this country in the late 60s and raised 6 kids here in Chicago. So I've been very fortunate to be able to practice what I do right now, which is a lawyer. So,
yes, to tell you the truth, I've seen Eileen and her siblings around the community when they were growing up. That was at the Rizal Community Center with her parents. But remember, Eileen, when you
yes, those Miss Philippines contests, right? I had a few sisters who were Miss Philippines in the 89 and 90, and the parades and everything that we used to do there. Yes, those were really great times to be able to come together with a community and share your heritage with people, you know, and reaching back and understanding where you came from, and then kind of transforming it to something different because we're here now in America. So yes, I remember seeing you at everything. Tita Veronica, I hope you don't mind me saying that's what we call you, right?
Oh, yes, that's fine. Everybody calls me Tita Veronica. Tita stands for aunt, auntie. Everybody in our community is calling me auntie. It should be Lola now, grandma, but
never, not for me.
All right. Okay, Eileen, you're a young lawyer. What is your specialty as a lawyer?
I appreciate you saying that I'm a young lawyer. I've been practicing law for almost 20 years now. So I went to law school. Yeah, I went to law school DePaul. Yes, and I graduated 2002. So I've been practicing as an assistant state's attorney, as a prosecutor for over 20 years, almost close to 20 years. And I've gone through all of the divisions that they've had, including child support enforcement, domestic violence, and as well as the homicide, sex crimes. And now I'm a supervisor at the state's attorney's office, and I work in the community justice center. But for a number of years, I was prosecuting a lot of violent felonies, you know, the types that you hear about, the shootings and the murders and those types of things that you hear about. So a lot of serious cases is what I've handled over the years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a big responsibility that you're handling.
Oh, I've been fortunate to be at the state's attorney's office and gone through a lot of divisions and have a lot of experience being almost in the courtroom every single day of my career, and having great people and great partners that I've worked with that give back to, you know, Cook County and the city of Chicago by the dedication that they give, especially to victims of crime.
Okay, Lynn, what is your reason for running as judge?
Well, being a judge is something I've looked forward to doing ever since I started my legal career. First, when you start your legal career, you know, when you go into the courtrooms, you don't really see people that look like us from the bench, right? That wasn't the forethought in my mind that could be me or someone that looked like me or looked like us. And I was lucky enough to have some mentors from the state's attorney's office who did become judges, and they did look like us. One of the first Indian American judges was Rena Van Tyne, and then a good friend of mine, Judge Nira Walsh, and so on. And Izzy Descherto, Judge Izzy Descherto, who's, you know, a big friend of the Filipino community and the first Filipino American appointed to the bench here in Cook County back in the early 2000s. And they were mentors, and I met them being in the bar associations. And when you see people like that have ascended to the bench, you then be able to think that, oh, maybe I can do that too. Without them, there would be no us. And then that's just one of the reasons, is to have more diversity. But on a personal level, just all the experiences and everything I've done as a prosecutor and here living in Cook County and my experiences, I feel that I would be a good, fair, impartial judge. And I think that it's a natural trend, you know, the natural step for me to go forward with my public service. So I've been doing public service, you know, my whole legal career, and I would like to serve the public in this way as well as a judge.
Okay, well, what else is in your agenda?
Well, in order to become a judge, you know, you can just get your name on the ballot and run, which I've done. I ran in 2020 and I didn't win. And you can be appointed. So in 2019, I was almost appointed as an associate judge. I made a finalist list with Chief Judge Evans. And in order to, what you can do is you can sit for what they call evaluation. So I've been evaluated by all the bar associations, including the Asian American Bar Association and the Arab American Bar Association, the Chicago Bar, the Illinois State Bar, about 13 different bar associations have taken a look at my record. They've interviewed opposing counsels, like 20 different attorneys. They've interviewed judges, my courtroom partners, and I have been found qualified, recommended, or highly recommended by all the bar associations. So right now I'm running in the 11th Sub-Circuit, which encompasses all of Oak Park, some parts of River Grove, Elmwood Park, parts of the city, the northwest side between North Avenue and Central, like First Avenue and Montrose, and part of Park Ridge, part of Elk Grove Village. Some of it sneaks all the way east between Diversey and Pulaski. So you kind of have to know where you live. The way these sub-circuits are drawn, but I'm running for judge in the 11th Sub-Circuit. So I've gotten my petitions on. I wasn't challenged, so you'll see my name on the ballot. And the primary is June 28th of 2022. So that's what I'm working on right now, trying to get people to go to my website and volunteer, because I need people at the polling sites to help pass out my literature as voters come in to the polls and vote.
Are you running unopposed right now on the upcoming election, right? Unopposed?
No, I am not. In 2020, when I ran, there were 4 people in that running for the same seat. So obviously there can only be one winner. We each got about 20 or 20% of the vote out of 4. Now in this election, I am running against another person. So there'll be 2 of us on the ballot. So I am not unopposed. I am running opposed in the primary.
I see. Okay. And your coverage actually is the Cook County, the whole of Cook County, is it? Or just a part of Cook?
It's part of Cook County. It's called the 11th Sub-Circuit. So like I said, you have to, if you live in Oak Park, parts of the city between west of Central, east of First Avenue, north of North Avenue, and a little bit south of Montrose, you have to look it up to it's on my website. The map will be on my website, www.aileenbandariforjudge.com. That'll help for people to know whether they can vote for me, and maybe they can't, but they have friends who live there. It's important to get the word out. We have a historic number of Asian Americans actually running for judge this election cycle, and some of them are good friends of mine. So for example, Judge Sanjay Taylor, he was a first presiding judge, Asian American judge in Cook County. He's running in the 9th Sub-Circuit. Judge Rena Van Tine, I mentioned earlier, she was a first Indian American judge in all of the United States. And she was an associate judge. She was appointed full circuit, so she's running to keep her seat. She's in all of Cook County. So anywhere in Cook County, she's Indian American, you can vote for Judge Rena Van Tine. And another friend of mine, Jennifer Bay, she's running in the 8th Sub-Circuit. She's Korean American. And that's kind of the downtown area. And myself, I'll be in the 11th Sub-Circuit. So to have 4 Asian Americans running for judge at the same time, I think it's historic. And there are other Asian American candidates running as well for county seats, like Sam Kukadia, who's Indian and Filipino, and Josina Morita, who's running as well for Cook County Commissioner. So we have a lot of diversity that's coming up, and we need the help of people to look up who are these candidates and to cast your vote.
Do you think, how do you measure it? Is it a tight fight right now in the position?
It is a tough fight because, as people who've come to this country as immigrants, my parents came here in the 60s, one from the Philippines, one from India without a lot of family. We don't have a lot of that political power. We don't have those political connections. We have our cultural connections. We have our family connections. We have our community connections. But I would say that in a lot of aspects, Asian Americans, and there's so many different kinds, whether you're Chinese or Korean or Indian or Vietnam, I don't want to leave anyone out, but we don't always often have a seat at the table. So we're still trying to make our way into these seats. And so ask if it's a tough election, yes, because my opponent is an alderman. He has political connections and he's a very nice man. I've met him. There's no animosity. We get along, but still I don't have the same connections that someone who has been in a county government or county politics has. So yeah, a little bit behind that. I would say it's a challenging race, to say the least.
Okay, for this election, how do you assess your chances of winning?
Well, I think that if people look up candidates, their information and their experience, I think I would fare very well. I, have the experience. I've been found qualified by all the bar associations. So if people do their research and their homework and that matters, then hopefully I will get their vote. And I think in this particular contest, it happens to be another gentleman's running against myself. Where, I don't say that we're running against each other. We're both running for the seat. It's an open seat in the 11th sub-circuit. And, it's really up to the voters to make that educated decision and not to get in the, to the booth and just kind of guess. They should really look up the candidates, see what we stand for, look at our experience and make their decision. I think I have a good chance, but the saying goes, you can't win if you don't run, right? And it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of finances to gear up. This is my second election, but I'm putting the time and energy into it. And I think when you put that into the universe, they'll come back to you with some positivity, I hope.
Well, Eileen, to me, you really sound like you really know what you want to do in your life. You're so dynamic. And okay, I wish you good luck. And one last word of appeal to our viewing audience.
One last word for me? One last word for me is don't be sorry, vote Bandari.
Okay, that's cute. That's nice. And I'm really
I really want to say I thank you for taking the time to have me on. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You've always been a voice for our community, even when we didn't probably realize we needed it. For you to take the time and energy and your talents to be the spokesperson of the Filipino American and Asian American community in Chicago, it's really important for us to have that. Everybody knows about the newspaper and your magazine and who you are. We can't go anywhere without them knowing what you are and who you are and what your paper has done for the Filipino community. So I honestly really want to thank you. I enjoy seeing you around. You've just been an icon to us in our community. And I remember also, you dedicated one of the papers to my mother back in 2015, the front page. And we look to you for that type of support and that type of coverage because, you really know what us as Filipino Americans and Filipinos here, what we need to connect with our community. And that's what you are. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
Terrific, Eileen. Our community, I know our community is so proud of you and we're looking forward to your winning and keeping in touch with us anytime, most of all for Cprtv interviews and Biotimes features, all right? And Eileen, this little Eileen that I used to see around, I really am surprised that she is going to be a judge soon and a very successful lawyer. And thank you, Eileen, for gracing our show today. And
thank you so much.
At maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ako po si Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, Eileen.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, we have two exciting ladies who will be delighting us, which is good because it's almost the end of the Women's History Month, this month of March. And we have two outstanding ladies that we'll be interviewing today. And first is Ms. Adrian Mobley. A very successful entrepreneur representing her business and working with CPA. And Ms. Tammy Chase, right? Ms. Tammy Chase is representing or the spokeswoman from CTA. And CTA stands for Chicago Transit Authority. Help me welcome these two ladies. And First things first, Miss Fanny, you are representing the CTA's RPM Phase 1 project.
Yes.
What is that?
So this is the largest project in CTA history. It is $2.1 billion. And what we are doing is rebuilding a portion of the red and purple line track structures, as well as 4 red line stations. We started the work in 2019 and will be finished in 2025. And I just wanted to mention that we are rebuilding structure that is more than 100 years old.
This is supposedly a very important and a long project, transit project. And you are somehow working with the emphasis of this project as working with diverse and representing the ethnic population in the South Side. And Miss Mobley is here to talk about her business because she's the one who's dealing directly to you guys, and she's going to be talking about her business and what she does with RPM project. Welcome to our show. Miss Mobley.
Thank you.
And can you please tell us about about your business?
Aaron Wellness is a 100% minority DBE company. We're based in South Side of Chicago in Inglewood. We provide safety training, safety consulting services, maintenance of traffic, which includes setting up traffic detours, lane closures, barricades, and we provide flagging. A few other things that we do is we provide caulking, exterior caulking. That's a specialty field, so we caulk inside and outside of properties. We also provide temporary fence installation as well as permanent fence. So that's what we do as a minority company business in Chicago.
So you are representing the minority business person, and the CPA is the employer actually. Okay, and so I want to know how does the CPA as an employer chose a company like Miss Mobley's company, Adrian Wellness?
So what we do is when we do have a large project is we seek to include as many small businesses as possible. We actually, when we establish the contract for the project, we have a goal, 20%, at least 20% of all of the dollars for the contractor goes to minority businesses, including Adrian Wellness. The philosophy is, we first and foremost, we're modernizing transit to improve service for customers. But at the same time, we can also improve our city, our neighborhoods by supporting businesses, creating jobs, which just strengthens our city. So in 2019, the CTA started what we called our Building Small Business Program. And we have since had 8 sessions of those. And basically businesses come to us and say, how can I grow my business or strengthen my business so I can participate in large contracts like CTA or city projects or other construction projects. So we work with them. We have experts who work with them to provide, financial advice or technical advice or how to strengthen a balance sheet or how to learn more about inventory control. All of the tools that small businesses need to sort of grow and participate in bigger projects. We were told, by many businesses over the years that sometimes bidding on large projects is very intimidating. It takes a lot of time or maybe money, and they just felt like they couldn't come to the table. So we're trying to turn that around.
So the emphasis is actually hiring some people who are really looking for jobs, jobs at like companies like CTA. So how many employees have you employed, Miss Mobley, so far for this project?
I've had as many as 22 to 30. Depends on how the demand of the project. Sometimes if they need as many as 5 to 10 people out there for each shift, then I have to ramp up. So I've had as many as 22 to 30 employees for this particular project.
But this is one of CPA's largest capital project. And would that number be enough for this project?
You know what? I want to say so far it has been enough. Every time they give me ample amount of time as it relates to scheduling. So if they let me know how many people they need, then I accommodate. And so if I have to hire more, which I am in the process, because this project is about to start ramping up again, because it ramps up and goes down because that's how construction is. So as it ramps up, then I'll either have a job fair or I'll participate in a job fair, and then I'll hire more to accommodate the needs of the project.
So what lines of work have you been supplying the CTA?
We've been doing flagging. So I've provided laborers to do flagging on the project.
Okay, Miss Tammy, how does CTA select the minority that can work for certain projects like this, a large project?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways we do that. At the beginning of the project, we had a lot of opportunity fairs, meetings, encouraging businesses to come get to know our project. We also launched the Building Small Business program in 2019 that I mentioned a little bit earlier, to also get businesses, many of whom have never worked on a CTA project or other major, city or otherwise project before, to just get the process started, get the conversation started on what they need in order to be prepared to bid and ultimately get awarded contracts. So there's a few ways we do it. We advertise a lot of these on our CTA's LinkedIn account. So for people who are interested, you can, that's one resource, or our website as well. I just wanted to add that Adrian's business provides a really important public safety service for CTA customers, as well as people who live and work in the neighborhood. When you have flaggers, those are the folks who are waving you through as you're driving or walking down a street where there's construction. And first and foremost, we want to keep everybody around the project safe. So with companies like Adrian are just invaluable to us.
So Adrian, for how long have you been working on this project with the CTA?
Since March of 2020.
Oh, in the midst of COVID.
Oh yes, definitely. It's right in the midst of COVID. Absolutely.
So far, what problems have you faced in supplying the right labor to CTA?
I want to say I haven't faced any problems supplying laborers, because I have they let me know early enough what they need. And if I need more, then I will simply, my staff will tell people that we're looking for employees, if that makes sense. And then I will interview, have a job fair. I will put on one my own self in the Inglewood area, and people will come out and I will interview them, and then I'll provide training, and then we'll get them in the union and they get out there and work. So I've never once had a problem with staffing. We've always been able to provide the labor.
As a successful entrepreneur dealing with a big company like CTA, what kind of qualities does your company possess, or you as an entrepreneur itself possesses, that some tips that you can give to our viewing audience?
Okay, well, I think one is ask questions. So because this was my first large project ever, and I made sure I got acquainted with the diversity team, and I got acquainted with the people at Walsh, And I also knew Pablo. So if I had any questions, I asked them. And if I didn't know something, I made sure they were aware of it. So I just stayed, and I'm talking about, I stayed in communication with everybody. If that was the accountant as it relates to invoicing, and because I wanted to make sure that I invoiced in the capacity that they would appreciate, I talked to them about that as well. And they offered assistance, to make sure that I was modern in how I did whatever, invoicing or whatever, just so we can be on the same page. We express training. So my company, we do training regularly to make sure that my staff is abreast on being great flaggers. They need to stay aware of skills, and if something goes on the site that we need to talk about, then we all talk about it so everybody can be aware of the possibilities of certain things happening. So we just try to stay sharp so we can be, so we can continually provide a great service.
In the field of construction, do you think it is easy for women to really fit in the field of construction?
I would go with yes and no. Yes, if you just are confident, you really want to do it. It's challenging because if you're new at it, and I was new at it, so I had to ask a lot of questions. I couldn't feel intimidated by asking what I didn't know. So, but just because I don't know it, don't mean I can't do it. So you still have to be confident that you can do the task. And for me, everyone has been helpful, and I think having the right attitude about it and not coming at it from with a bad attitude or wrong and thinking you're the victim, and people are willing to help you. So I got help because I asked questions. So I don't think it's too difficult, if that makes sense. I just think it's doable if I can do it. So I don't think I'm special.
Well, as long as it's doable. Yeah, women can fit in anything if they want to.
Absolutely.
Right?
I can do it. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Okay. Ms. Tommy. Okay. What else can you say about the CTA RPM Project 1?
So we work with dozens of contractors, including Adrian's company, and all the various businesses have different backgrounds and different specialties. There's a lot more work that I think than people realize. In a construction project, you can have contractors, of course, who help build the project. You have contractors like Adrian's, who's helping keep the public safe during construction. You have companies that do print our brochures, for the public, or you have help put on public meetings, an event management company. I mean, there's a lot of work out there, and government, needs partners and is looking to small businesses. It's the tide is shifting, if you will, and I think something that Adrian said, resonated, is building the relationships with diversity departments at government agencies, showing up for, when we can, outside of COVID, showing up actually at events, meeting people, exchanging business cards, staying in touch. For small businesses, you can't ask enough questions, right? I mean, you just keep going, and there are opportunities out there. And that's one of the things about working at CTA that's so exciting. We work with so many different businesses. Gotten to know a lot of great folks.
So what is the special impact upon women-owned businesses?
I know this might sound crazy. I'm a woman, and this is the first time I really had a business to this degree. I just think that the impact is making sure that whatever your mission, my mission is to help people in the South Side and people who are low income, West Side, whatever, get great jobs, and be able to grow and be, work in their communities, or just keep positive income coming in. So the impact for me is just being able to see people get trained and have jobs and get out there and be on time and early and just turn their lives around. That's the impact for me, to see that. I enjoy that the most. I enjoy working with companies like Walsh and Floor and CTA because they've been very receptive. So if I ask, and I might say this a lot, if I ask something, somebody's going to try to find out the answer and help me. And so don't get me wrong, after they give me the answer, I still have to do the work to make sure that it happens. But I just feel like just being open to do whatever you need to do to make sure you're in a positive way to make sure your company succeed is the answer.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Okay, one last question directed to you, Ms. Mobley. Adrian Mobley. So do you think you are helping our womanhood in the kind of work that you're doing or representing?
I think so, because a lot of time women think when I put a job fair on, a lot of time they don't think that they have a place there, and to be able to show them that they do, like, you know, you can do even more than just flagging, but you can start with flagging, you can start with labor kind of work, and once you see that you really can accommodate that, you can then have enough confidence to move on to some other skilled areas. So I think it does help. It helps build confidence, and once you're confident to do something, you can accommodate it or accomplish it.
Okay, where do you think you're planning to go from here as a woman entrepreneur?
Well, I want to provide some of the same services on more projects with CTA. I do also work on projects on other city projects, like with the airports. I just want to broaden the kind of projects that we have. And I currently we have like one woman foreman. So I kind of want to make sure that we have projects where I can put other, you know, where we can grow our management staff, if that makes sense, with women. I hope that makes sense. So I just want to grow the company, because be out of work in Chicago City projects, but even more than that, we just want to get larger and handle more projects in different capacities of our scope of work.
All right, very good. Miss Tammy Chase, before we sign off, okay, what other projects that are helping the women-owned businesses does the CTA have right now, or are you having in the offing?
So some of the big major projects that are coming in the future include work on the Blue Line, on the West Side Line, a lot of improvements to the tracks and stations there, as well as the Red Line extension. We're going to be extending the Red Line from 95th to 130th Street. That work is still a few years off, but that will have a lot of opportunities as well. And I wanted to add what Adrian said about taking the experience that she has with CTA and going to other projects, working on other major projects, is exactly the spirit of our program, Building Small Businesses, and it is also the philosophy of CTA. So Adrian is living the vision that our president Dorval Carter has set forth for the CTA. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Great, wonderful, nice hearing about these wonderful projects, CTA projects that are giving work to many people out there. Most of these from guys or people from the south side of Chicago, and also you talking to ladies like you and this Women's History Month really make me feel good, as it's almost the end of the month. All right, and I'm so proud of you ladies, and thank you so much, Miss Adrian Mobley and Miss Tammy Chase, for gracing our show today. And I wish you good luck in all your undertakings. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagpunta sa aming show. Meaning, thank you so much for appearing on our show.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
Hello, good day, Cprtv viewers. This is Pastor Ed from Faith Family Worship Center, Chicago, and greeting you a joyful and blessed day. Today, I'd like to read to you a very beautiful and powerful psalm, Psalm chapter 1. You know, there are 150 psalms, and the first chapter sets the tone for the rest of all the 150 psalms. Throughout the book of Psalms, you will always encounter the character descriptions between a godly and ungodly person, the righteous and the wicked, and also the proud and the humble. Well, Psalm chapter 1 gives us a descriptive difference between the righteous and the wicked. So I'd like to read to you Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. And then here's the description of a godly, righteous, humble person. Verse 3, Psalm chapter 1. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. But not the wicked. They are like worthless chaff, scattered by the wind. They will be condemned at the time of judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord watches over the path of the godly, but the path of the wicked leads to destruction. See, Psalm chapter 1 contrasts two lives, right? One dedicated in the pursuit of God's treasure, while the other is devoid of the life of God. The one who seeks God through his words and lives according to his laws is called blessed. And you know, as a person pursues God according to this psalm, this person becomes a source of life, joy, and strength to others. He will be like a tree, this psalm tells us, planted by the rivers of water, and he will live a fulfilled and satisfying life. Not so in verse 4. You see the difference here. Not so for the person opposed to God, declares this psalmist in verse 4, Psalm chapter 1. In other words, no matter what titles or recognitions or achievements we have in life, if we are not living for God and his purposes, life becomes empty and unsatisfying. Or as what King Solomon, the wisest person who ever lived on earth, he said, life, no matter how well off a person can be, without God, life is meaningless. And it's like just chasing after the wind. This powerful psalm ends with a beautiful promise and a serious warning. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. The Lord will guide the way of those who trust and believe in him. He will be their provider, helper, strength, and contentment. But the way of the wicked, this psalm tells us, leads to destruction, to disappointment, to curses, and to emptiness. You see, my brothers and sisters, the term wicked is not only limited to those who may do violent things, but also to those who do not believe in God and are living for themselves alone. When a person does not believe in God, of course, he will not also believe in his words. And so we all have a choice to make, either to live for God or live for self. Either to believe in God or not to believe in God, either to trust in him or not to trust in him. Our trajectory will be radically altered for good when we decide to live for God and for God alone. God bless you.
Good afternoon. This is Bridget Carino-Quetta bringing you this week's local news from our community. College basketball takes center stage on the sports calendar each March as the NCAA basketball tournament gets underway. The tournament brings a packed 3 weeks of high-pressure games as 68 teams compete for the college basketball crown. Along the way, millions of Americans fill up brackets, join office pools, and tune into games as March Madness unfolds. For most of the rest of the year, professional sports are more popular among U.S. sports fans. According to polling from Gallup, professional football is America's most popular sport, with 62% of Americans identifying as fans, and professional baseball is close behind with 57%. And the two less popular major pro sports, basketball and hockey, have each trended upwards significantly in popularity over the last 2 decades. Meanwhile, both college football and college basketball lag slightly behind their professional equivalents in popularity. One caveat to this data is that sports fandom in the United States can be highly regionalized, with varying interests in different professional sports or in college athletics depending on location. Senate Joint Resolution 28 designating U.S. Highway 20 as Medal of Honor Highway unanimously passed today as Illinois joins the effort to rename the 3,365 miles of Highway 20 spanning the nation from the Pacific to Atlantic Oceans. This partnership of states honoring their Medal of Honor recipients amplifies our deep appreciation and recognition for their heroism, said IDVA Director Terry Prince. Highway 20 intersects Illinois and connects us to Indiana and Iowa. It is well traveled by many who will be reminded of those within our state who have fought courageously and selflessly. The Medal of Honor is the United States' highest award for military valor in action. Since the Civil War, 3,511 servicemen and 1 woman have received the honor, and 66 are still living today. Illinois has been home to 199 Medal of Honor recipients. Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, DCEO, today encouraged families in need to apply for $100 million in utility bill assistance through the Help Illinois Families program. All families who meet the criteria and provide required documentation are eligible to receive utility bill assistance for natural gas, propane, and electricity through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP. Since the launch of the program year in September 2021, more than 230,000 households have received utility assistance so far. In addition to utilities benefits that are available each year, the $150 million in available benefits includes an additional $80 million for the Utility Disconnection Avoidance Program, UDAP, for current year LIHEAP recipients who are in imminent threat of utility shutoff. This expanded safety net through UDAP is expected to support over 50,000 additional resident accounts currently on ICC Utilities disconnect lists across the state. As the American population becomes more diverse, so does the population of school-aged children. However, teacher diversity is not keeping up, and the diversity gap between students and teachers continues to widen. According to 2020 data from the U.S. Census Bureau, 51% of students are not white. In comparison, non-white teachers account for less than 30% of teachers nationally. The teacher diversity gap, the percentage point difference between the share of students that are non-white and the share of teachers that are non-white, is nearly 22 percentage points. For example, 12.5% of students in the U.S. are Black, but only 9.6% of teachers are. The gap between Hispanic students and teachers is even wider, with a proportion of Hispanic students, 25.5%, more than double that of Hispanic teachers, 12%. It seems that everyone has a green thumb, but where can city-dwelling gardeners find their patch of paradise? To mark April as Lawn and Garden Month, Lawn Starter ranked 2022's best cities for urban gardening. We looked for cities with easy access to gardening space and supplies, an ideal climate, and a local gardening community. Here are Chicago's ranks in some key metrics out of 196. For average yard square footage, 194th, landscaping equipment and supply stores per square mile, 158th, historical average number of days in growing season, 142nd, historical average number of very cold days, minimum temperature less than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 166, and regional gardening clubs per 100,000 residents, 168th. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our news this week. This is Bridget. See you next time.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
And that's our show for today. On behalf of our staff and producers of the Chicago Philippine Reports TV, ako po si Maria Girly Pascual, thanking all of you. And behind the scenes, our staffers, including Tech Director James DC and Overall Director Ms. Shechigo, for putting on a very good show every week. And without you viewers out there, we wouldn't be here. Don't forget to get your favorite copy of Via Times News Magazine. And happy birthday to our birthday celebrants. Ako po si Maria Girly Pascual. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsubaybay. And we'll see you back here next week.